What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. I'm Andy, the middle-aged gamer, and this is a video that was recommended by one of you guys. I was asked in my last video if I would do a how to field strip and maintain an AR-15 GBBR, as the person was new to it and didn't really know what to do. And so I thought, well, it'd be kind of cool just to do a nice video to show you how I strip mine down and clean it, especially after about a month of using it and so on. And so therefore, let's get on with it. Now, what you will need for doing general maintenance once you field stripped it is the following. You'll need some patches to clean the inner barrel, a cleaning and jamming rod, some cotton buds, or Q-tips, whatever you want to call them, some silicone grease and some silicone oil. Now, if you run a real steel AR and you're using this, airsoft version as a training tool, then you can use your general gun lubricant spray if that's what you like to do. And obviously you'll need some kitchen roll and a microfiber cloth. Now, before we start, like that, we need to make sure the weapon is safe. So obviously, here is the Mark 18. Those of you who've been watching from the beginning will remember it. So let's take the mag out. There are no BBs in the mag, but let's check the chamber is clear. As you can see, no BBs in the chamber, so we'll let that go home. Now, I will not pull the trigger. The reason being is I don't want any issues that may be hiding inside. With the buffer, for instance, if your buffer pin's broken, you won't know until you separate it, and that buffer can go straight, basically sliding right the way back and slam into your hammer and can break it, especially if it happens multiple times. This hasn't, but just as a great safety tool, it's one of those. Now, to take the AR-15 down, you've got two takedown pins. Mine has one rear pin, and the front one is an wobble or anti-movement pin, one of those magic pins from RA-TEC. If you watch my last video, you'll remember I mentioned about it, so you get to see what they are today. So, first thing you want to do is push out the rear pin. Now, if you're having trouble, as it's brand new, usually this is really tight, you just get a punch or an Allen key. You could usually do it, and just push it through. It doesn't require too much. Now on mine, it's nice enough that it's worn in. I can just pull it through and it's captive. It will stay locked to the other side here. Now at that point, you'll be able to clamshell open your AR. As you can see, mine do. And it will look like this. Now what we want to do is get a piece of kitchen roll. And if we put that there, we can now, pull on your charging handle and pull out our bolt carrier. Drop that on there for cleanliness, and your charging handle. Now once you've done that, normally now you would crank it open and push out this pin. It should go out once you opened it all the way. It should slide out no problem. But as mine is the RA-TEC, we're going to spin it around and put it down. Now I don't know, you should be able to see here, there's a little Allen key. Okay, so we're going to get my key, and we're going to just untighten anti-clockwise, a couple of turns. You don't need more than that till it starts to feel a bit loose, and then you should be able to, from the other side, pump it through. Pop. Now, this is the RA-TEC pin. It's made of 3 parts, and as it basically gets pulled together, this middle bit here pushes down, the other bits push up, or vice versa, depending on which orientation you have it, and that basically pulls the 2 receivers together and stops any receiver wobble. Okay, once we have that off, we can now separate the upper from the lower. So we'll take the lower and we'll move that aside for now. Now, my first advice is you need your cleaning on jamming rod. You want to use the loop side here. And we're going to take a little patch I cut out. We're going to insert the tip through, and then we're going to turn it clockwise. So if we put that through there, should be able to hold it. I'm going to turn it around and wrap it around like this. Once you have it wrapped around like that, you're going to want to insert it through, remembering the way that you turned it. Okay, so when you've got your patch on your rod, you just put the rod all the way through, and you can now see inside. Let's see if we can get it on camera. There it is. And you want to go all the way up until you just start to see it near the booking. Once you get to there, pull it all the way down, and then go all the way back up again a couple of times, just to clean the inner barrel. Now, if the patch comes out looking like this, you need to do it again. So, let's take that dirty patch off. Get another patch, and we can poke that through. It's like threading a needle, they say. Okay, once it's through, we twist it, wrap it round so it's on there like this, and then we can, don't worry, just push it in, and you'll feel it tighten up when it's the right diameter of the bolt as it goes in, and then we can push it all the way back through. Now, as I've done this a lot, it takes a bit of practice at the time, but you keep turning and pushing slowly up all the way until you see it just starting to appear near the booking. Do not go past your booking, because you will dry out the booking by taking the oils off it, and can potentially change your hop setting and your, wear the booking out. Now, once you've done that, it should come out looking clean. Okay? Now, once it's clean, you've done the inner barrel, and your upper is technically nearly done. What we are going to do next is take a piece of kitchen roll, because it's the yuckiest part, and we're going to just wipe where we can get our fingers into to remove the worn grease. We want to check both sides of the receiver, because it is usually pretty filthy, or covered or caked in horrible used grease. Now, if you're struggling, you can take a Q-tip to get to the areas which are normally done. So as you can see, I'll try and get this on camera for you. So you would just sort of like wipe it down using your Q-tip, get rid of all the excess oils. They're no good for your AR for long term, because it has bits of metal in there, and they're like sandpaper and can actually cause more wear or excessive wear than is needed. So once you've done that, and we clean the grease off here, okay, this is generally done now, so we can now set this aside. Okay, it's at this point where we bring back in the lower, right here. So let's zoom you in now. Okay, so here's where you're going to need to take the buffer out. Okay, now to do that, what you want to do is, first of all, let's wipe the buffer face. Less grease on our hands, the better. You want to push in a little bit and turn it until, as you can see here, the flat side of the buffer is level with the pin. At that point, you want to take your other finger, push that little pin out of the way, and it will immediately start to come out. And this is where I say before, imagine this launching and hitting the back of that hammer if it was fully forward, which is why I always say, just keep your hammer cocked. Now we're going to take our kitchen roll, and we're going to wipe off the top of the hammer where all the excessive grease, the dirty grease is. Okay, now you can see here on the hammer, you get this, where the finish of the hammer, the bluing of it is coming off. That's fine, that's normal. What you want to be looking for is shiny a bit. So if you take a look down the buffer tube, which you'd be looking in, you'd be looking for little flakes of silver. That means you've got some excessive wear on your buffer or through the springs. You want to be putting your finger in there, checking, making sure you can get it as clean as you can possibly get it. The cleaner it is, the better it is long term. Now, once we've wiped down the top, you can push here. Again, as you can see, the bolt stop, you can see where it sort of wears in as the bolt hits the bolt stop here. That's normal. Okay, now you want to drop the hammer forward now, and with a clean Q-tip, you want to go down and into the control and just wipe off any of the excess grease that was on there. When you buy this brand new, it will have white grease in there. That's packing grease. don't run your rifle with that on it. It's better to just sort of like, after you've done a proof of function test on it, it is literally just the best idea you can do is take a Q-tip, and as you can see, it gets absolutely filthy, but take all that grease off as much as you can get rid of as you can. You won't get rid of all of it. It will take a long time to come out, but once you've got most of it out, it's better. Now, here's where we start, how we say, lubricating the trigger group and everything else in there. So what we're going to do is take, I use this AB silicone gun oil. We'll pop the lid. Now, first thing you want to do is just grab a little roll over there, because anything with friction is going to require it. So you put some there, a little bit on either side here, okay? You want to basically make sure that that pin that's holding your full auto sear and that allows this to cycle freely has some lubricant on it, and it's the same here. You want to drop just a couple of drops. Come on, there we go. Down onto the pins, and that basically allows the pins to cycle and move. Now you can easily move this back. Now you want some here on the firing pin. You can see here, because it looks a little bit dry, you want to put that on there. Now if you release the hammer, you can use the hammer to work that new oil in. We leave it forward. It should give you enough exposed at the front. Come on, there we go. To drop some on, as you can just see it now roll in, and we can use the hammer to lubricate the front. Okay, that should be enough silicone oil for there. Now, what we can do is just put that down for now, and we're going to take our buffer. Now, we take out the buffer from the spring, again, get our kitchen roll, give it a wipe down. As you can see, it's got its little stainless steel or tungsten, depends on which gen you have, etc. Now, as you can see, you'll have wear part. Now, that wear is usually because your buffer and your bolt are not completely together, or are together, but there's still a tiny bit of bolt bounce, and that just impacts there. You know, that's normal, to be honest with you, as it wears in, and once your rifle is worn in, you should be fine. I'm going to wipe off all that excessive crap, and it's at this point where I would get our grease pot for the first time. Again, you want the AB silicone gun grease. These are like $4, something like that, off Amazon right now, or £4. Very, very cheap. What we do is we take a little bit of that, just a small smidge, okay, and we put some around the tip of the anti-bounce weight in here, because that needs a little bit, and so does around here, okay? So we need a little bit more. So we take a little bit more of the grease, and we'll put some around here, okay? Just so that when the spring's on there, it's not putting excessive wear on the actual buffer itself, okay? So with that done, we want to take our spring. We can put it that way. You can put it anywhere. It doesn't really matter which way you put it in. Okay, and then we basically put that through there. Now you want to get the buffer where the flat side is down again, and we'll push it back in until it clicks. And then when it's in, you want to just turn it so that the rounded side, which is your stronger side, is right there. Okay, and that will automatically lock. We're going to set the hammer. Now, what we do want to do, and this is a little trick from me, okay? You'll find that a lot of hammer wear comes from it as it rides, because as the bolt goes over and back, I will show you in a minute, backwards and forwards, it will ride here on the bolt. So in order to provide just a little bit of smoothness, you want to take a little bit of grease, not too much, just a thin smidgen, and put it over the back here. What you're doing is just putting a small thin film over the hammer, ready for when it goes over, and it stops it from causing friction. Again, it makes your system run just that little bit more smoother. Now, with that out of the way, let's move the lower out the side. Let's bring in the bolt carrier and the charging handle. So we need a clean sheet of roll. And now we're going to just wipe down the charging handle, because that'll be the first thing to go back into the upper when it's done. We need another Q-tip. And run that in here. As you can see, it's dirty grease because it's a black, it's not a clear color anymore. And we just want to get rid of all that off the sides. And then, like I say, we can clean up the front here. Now, once you've got this out, what you need to do is, again, take another cotton bud, grab our grease, just a tiny bout of it. Don't need too much. Now, where you've got your lug here, and your lug here, down here on the front, because you can see wherever you see the wear, shiny wear patterns on it, that's where you need this grease, okay? What you're doing is just putting a thin little bit of lubricant there, just to stop any excess, how would you say, wear and tear to continue to develop. And it's just normal, it'll polish it rather than wear it, which is great. Okay? Now, what I would do is turn it upside down, get your oil. Because you've got your gas key sliding in and out here, just in case, just a thin bead of oil. Don't know if you can see that. Let's see if we can get it in for you. But just a thin bit of oil in there, and that works with that. Now that can be left as is, the right way. There we go. Now, we want to take our bolt and wipe it down. Get rid of all the excess grime. As you can see, this was all black, but is now polishing itself out. You can feel any of the excess material that's been rubbing over time, and that's obviously where you need to focus your, I would say, your lubrication and your grease. You can also tell that I have put a lot of rounds. I'm not one of those liars on YouTube that like to say I've shot it and this is how a gun works, without actually putting rounds through it, because to be honest, that's stupid to do, but many YouTubers do it. I've seen a few about the APFG that are saying, oh, this is that, or this, that, the other on it, and it's not true because they've not put the rounds through it, so they don't know. So, look forward to seeing that video coming soon. Now, once we've done that, we wiped it down, okay? We want to check the O-ring. We pull on the nozzle until you can see here the O-ring. Now, this one looks a little bit filthy, so we take that a little bit. We're going to dry it out in a second. Some dirt and grime does get into it. It's normal. Okay. Now with it locked a little bit forward, oh, there you go. Hold it forward. What we are going to do, take our silicone oil, not the grease. We're going to put a bead along the top line here. We're going to put one down here, because it rides on the inside. We're going to put one on this rib here, like this. I don't know if you can see it, that the ribs. Anything that you can see that makes contact with this bolt on the inside, you want to just add a small amount of grease and then let it go. As you can see, the bolt is fine. Now, we take our Q-tip, we get some silicone grease, nice little bit, and we can just dab around where we see the wear and tear. So like here at the back, where it's impacted on the bolt, we should put some on there just to help it a little bit. Just use both sides to wipe and smear it. On the side. Okay. Around all the wear parts, because these are where it makes contact with the receiver, the buffer, and they just need their little bit of TLC, let's say. Okay. So we take here and we can just polish this rail across here, because that's where it seems to be getting a lot of it. Along the bottom, that's your hammer. That's basically literally your hammer polishing here as it rides backwards and forwards along it. So it's not something to worry about per se. It's designed to do that. But just for the cases, now obviously avoiding putting any on the seal here. Do not put any on there. You just want along the scar here, a little bit here, because that's where it's made contact. And you just want to provide it with the least resistance possible as it goes. And a little bit there towards the sides. And we'll just add a little bit more here and here. Okay. Now, with that now ready to go, let's reassemble the upper. So we get our upper back. To reassemble, you want to turn it upside down, it's easier. Slide it in through the actual bolt tube until it hits this little cutout and it'll drop down. Slide it forward to about there. Take your bolt carrier, index the gas key inside the charging handle and the hole, and slide it home. It should lock all the way back in. That's your upper reassembled. And now we need to get our lower back with the hammer still back. Okay, we're going to spin this around because it's that way around this time. And we're going to just pop the two together. So if we get the halves, we pop it there. We take my front pin, because mine's the RA-TEC, normally you would just push the front pin through. Because I have one of these, it has to go a different way. Oh, let's make sure we lined up the holes. That's why. There we go. Oh, come on, there you go. This is where you need 6 pairs of hands to do one job. But there you go. In it goes. Okay. So now we put that there with mine. Just turn it, push it down. Once it's in, we don't need to tighten it all the way just yet, but we put it in and you can now free tighten it as you wish because it will hold itself in place. Okay. Move the oils out of the way. Don't need them anymore. That's all nice and clean. Okay, close you for now. Now, obviously, make sure that this side is out. And we can push that back and lock and load. Function check. Now, to make sure that everything has gone back normal, we'll take our magazine, lock it in with the ready to go. We can hold that there. We can put it on fun mode. Yep, trigger sounds nice, feels good. We'll take the magazine out, drop the hammer, and we can now put everything back on here. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, once everything's back together, all your pins are in, everything's back and done, you've done a function check, everything should be perfectly fine and running great. It's at that point where you can finally say, right, your gun is now clean. Obviously, afterwards you take your rag, you can just wipe down any excess oils that have leaked out or what have you. That's just the afterthought. And away you go. It's that easy. That's how you would take down your AR. That's how to reassemble it. It's very simple. And how to make sure you've got it lubed up correctly for long term. Now again, the way I do it, the way you do it, will be slightly different. Everyone has their own unique take on how they do it. So I suggest you experiment, but the key easiest way is to find where it wears and put the grease where it wears, not where it doesn't. It doesn't need it where it doesn't because it's not wearing. So that's how I would say learn and just practice. There is no, how would say, bad thing to do, you know, other than putting anything round backwards or what have you. There's nothing really wrong with anything. Just try and go for it. If you like this sort of video and you've got this far, please like, comment and subscribe. Share the video with a friend. If there's anything I missed out that you want to see, please let me know in the comments below. And if you like this sort of like little guide, next time I can do a pistol for you, whether it's Glock series or what have you, and show you how I look after them and perform maintenance on it. So with that being said, I've been the Middle Aged Gamer. You guys have been absolutely awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.